Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we're doing a segment called Who is Trapper? We have a member of the band here. Let's dig right in. Introduce yourself. Who are you, and what is your role in the band?
My name's Sean Kelly, and I'm a lead guitar player.
Fantastic. So we're going to be learning a little bit more about your band today from your perspective.
Yep.
Now, how would you describe Trapper, let's say, in 5 words?
Trapper in 5 words. Friends, rock, and roll, machine,
I think
drivers.
that's 5. I think
How many was that?
Yeah, that's 6.
That was 6. Okay, I gotta go back.
So friends and rock and roll machine.
Friends and rock and rollers.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Hey, that's cool. That's perfect.
That's good.
Friends and rock and rollers. No, that's 2 syllables.
No, yeah,
One word.
we're not counting syllables. We're counting words. So that's perfect. Friends and rock and roll. I love that. I think that's pretty accurate from what I've researched of you so far.
It is.
You know, Trapper is kind of an interesting name. Why don't you kind of give a little bit of a background on where that name came from, why you guys chose it?
Right. Well, I mean, basically, because we were trying to celebrate a Canadian experience, make a Canadian connection.
Sure.
I grew up in North Bay, Ontario. We were
Yeah.
trying to find something. How would I say that? We were looking, because Em and I both have Northern Ontario roots.
Yeah.
We were looking for something that kind of felt like that, like our formative musical experiences came in Northern Ontario.
Sure.
And I thought about going to see junior hockey games in North Bay, and the team was the North Bay Trappers. I think they were a junior B team. So Trapper seemed like a catchy, good name. I could picture it in a logo.
So you guys related on that, like the hockey team. Like, so what did the discussions look like for choosing the name? You were just like, oh, I'm from North Bay type thing?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you want something that's snappy, that's easy to remember.
It's definitely
and
snappy, that's for sure.
it just seemed like a natural choice. You know, it's funny. I actually first reached out to Em because I heard one of her songs called North on CBC radio. So maybe that was somewhere in the back of my mind.
True. Okay, so that that totally makes sense.
And we both like playing in arenas, hockey players and rock and rollers, right?
Yeah.
So there
I mean, it's a good fit, right? Arenas, rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, you're all rock stars, really. Yeah, so we're going to kind of like, it's sort of like a quick fire round, these questions. So, I mean, we might slow down at times, but we'll kind of go through it quickly for the content, as they say, right?
That's what the kids want.
Yeah, exactly. It's what the kids these days, right?
They used to want their MTV, now they want their content.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what would you say makes Trapper different? Like, what is its unique differentiator from other bands that it might be similar to?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I don't know that we necessarily think in terms of uniqueness. I think we think in terms of community, right? And we're drawn together by a shared love of the rock and roll of the 80s.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not too much as focused on trying to reinvent the wheel. I don't think any of us are, as we are to... I think it's just going to naturally be celebrated in a modern context because we're recording this style of music. We're writing and recording and performing this style of music in 2021. So, I mean, that's bound to have an influence on the sound,
so the fact that you kind of are memorializing that 80s style of hard rock or kind of keeping it alive type thing is unique, is what you're saying.
I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to make people feel like we felt when we first heard that music.
Yeah.
There's something celebratory about it. It's hard on sleeve. It's melodic. It's anthemic. And I think we're trying to share that feeling that we first had. We bonded, Em and I, when we first put this thing together, we bonded over the feeling we got from that music.
And that's so important, right? The feeling,
everything.
that's really what it...
Emotional connectivity.
Exactly. How you emotionally move people is really what keeps people coming back.
Yeah,
I
totally.
think. So this is kind of a fun question. Who in Trapper... So again, this is from your perspective, but who in Trapper is most likely to... We'll go one by one.
Yeah.
Skydive.
I'd say it's a tie between Em and Frank.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Frank worked with Tommy Lee, and I think Tommy Lee's a pretty avid skydiver.
That is pretty
so
cool.
I'm gonna think maybe some of that rubbed off, and I think Em's an adventurous spirit who might do that.
But not you.
You know what? I could be easily swayed. I've had adventures of all kinds in my day, so
Sure.
Why not jump out of a plane?
Okay.
I don't think Timmy's jumping out of a plane anytime soon. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's the first.
He is. Yeah. Who do you think is most likely to win a Nobel Prize? So that's a tough one.
Yeah,
right?
that's a tough one, because listen. I would say I'm going to put myself fourth in that list, but just because I play in a band with some pretty smart people here.
Sure.
And both I'm going to make that a tie between all three.
Okay.
I think we've all got, especially on the computer side, I can see Tim, he's got that experience. On the recording production side, the scientific side of that, got Frank. And then M, she's a poetic soul. I wouldn't be surprised if she knocks
just like a creative force.
Yeah, man, and a humanitarian too. They're all, which they all are. Yeah. Which I'm proud to be. I'm proud to be associated with people who have those types of values too.
Sure. Yeah, and that just kind of makes you a better person in general.
Yeah, you know, I get to soak up some of those positive life vibes. It's a nice thing.
Who is most likely to run for political office?
Sure as hell won't be me, pal.
Okay.
Internet ruined that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Having said that, I don't know. I think M. I'm gonna go with M. You know, she's the face of the band. She's the leader of the band. I could see her.
She seems like she could be really diplomatic. You know?
Yeah. You know what? She is an expert communicator.
Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, diplomatic's a good word. And you know what? She's authentically diplomatic.
Sure.
She's always looking for the best outcome. And we notice that in our band conversation. She's somebody who's always looking for the best human outcome for everybody. Mm-hmm. It's not about a product. It's about making all the people involved in the project happy and feeling good.
That's good, and that's what you need.
Wouldn't it be great to have more politicians like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, who is most likely to disappear for a year and come back with no explanation?
Yeah, I think I'd be pretty good at that.
Yeah, you would?
Yeah, I think I could do that.
So, follow-up question, what would you do?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that. There's no explanation necessary.
No.
You know what?
You know what? If we had the inside scoop.
Yeah. You know what? Disappear for a year. I don't know, man. I like being connected to my people, too, right? You know, so I talk a big game. Maybe in my younger days, but... yeah, I don't know.
You're too much of an extrovert for that.
Yeah, I don't want to go away. I'd be missing too much fun.
So then, I'm assuming you take that back then.
What's that?
You said so. You nominated yourself for disappear for a year and come back with no explanation.
Yeah.
So you take it back.
No, absolutely. I'd be the one to disappear.
Okay. Okay, sure. All right.
Just to be clear.
Let's move on. Okay. Be the DJ.
Be the DJ. You know what? I would say. Based on our limited van travel experience, it's a pretty safe bet that's going to be between me, Em, and Frank.
Yeah,
we're going to be passing around the we
and
tend
no,
to
like
share
no
that.
30-second DJ, right? Like no like switching the song every 30 seconds, or does that happen and you guys are okay with it?
No, because I mean, because our bond with this shared love of this music is so strong. There's always a sing-along or a story attached to it, you know?
Sure.
Like we're deep diving in on this music. When we listen, it usually is followed by an extensive conversation on production and album credits and it's so I think we'd be taking turns on that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I appreciate a good music nerd, you know?
Oh yeah, and I think we fit the bill.
Yeah, perfect.
Tim too, for that matter, for sure.
Exactly.
He knows his stuff.
Who's most likely to create the itinerary?
M.
Okay. And who is most likely to sleep through an alarm? Just think back to all the rehearsals.
I'm gonna say Tim, and I'm gonna tell you why. Tim played drums in my band Crash Kelly.
Sure.
And I remember touring. He was always saying, we don't have to show up for load in until a little later. And I was like, no, we got to follow it. So back then I was the itinerary guy. So sorry, Timmy, I'm throwing you under the bus.
Sure.
It's Tim.
Sure. Awesome. All right, so let's move on to the next question. That was a fun one. What is one thing about you that not a lot of people know?
That I'm an elementary school music teacher.
Okay. So, and you said I think based on our previous conversation, you said you took up that profession again more recently. Is that correct?
Yeah, I went to University of Toronto. I studied classical guitar there.
Right.
And then from there, I took some time off. I was playing in bands. I was touring, and then had playing with a band that had a record deal, quickly lost a record deal, said, oh man, I got to eat. How do I eat?
Right.
You know, I was doing a couple of different things. Decided to go to teacher's college. I said, hey, I'll go to teacher's college and I'll supply teach. That'll be my day gig.
Sure.
But I ended up loving teaching.
Really?
Loved it. And started teaching music with the TCDSB.
Cool.
But then I had to take some time off. My own project got a record deal.
Wow.
I started playing with other people. I got a gig touring with Nelly Furtado. I said, okay, I'm out for a bit. So I took a big leave of absence. Yeah. Ended up being away for about 10 years and then coming back to it and loving it. Again.
But it's kind of nice though. Like I feel like it's one of those professions where it's like nursing, where like you can go away and then you still have that designation, you have that degree. You can go back, right? Yeah. And like I feel like teachers are always going to be in demand, sure. Especially with growing population and stuff like that. Like they're always going to be in demand. So it's like you have license to do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, this is a cool one. What is your best party trick? Tell me it's playing guitar. Is it? Like just tap in or something.
I don't know. Does a plumber fix your toilet at the party? I'm not going to break out the guitar at the party. I'm not that guy.
That's awesome. That's okay.
But I can juggle a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not going to ask you to demonstrate, but I believe you. Are there videos?
That was something I learned at teachers college. Actually,
was that, really?
In the phys ed component of teachers college, they taught us to juggle and
sure.
Hey, trust me, when I was in my early days of teaching, when things were getting a little hairy, that was a good trick to pull out once in a while.
Exactly. So what are we juggling here? Are we like balls or like what are we? Are we cans? Knives?
I'm more orbital. I don't know. Oranges work great.
Oh, true.
They have a malleability about them.
Yeah, until you drop them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Awesome.
I'm going to work that into the show now, my guitar
you should.
solo.
Yeah, just like put it on a looper. Just like let it loop.
Yeah.
The tapping section, just let it loop.
I think I'm going to loop the juggling.
Oh,
the technology's almost there.
Yeah, almost there. Exactly. That's amazing. Okay, so what's the first album you remember falling in love with?
The marketing side of me wants to tell you the second album, which was Quiet Riot's Metal Health. But I'm going to tell you the truth. It was Michael Jackson's Thriller.
No way.
Yeah, because that was the one I bought with my own money. I'd purchased a few singles before that. First single I purchased was Jump, but not Van Halen, the Pointer Sisters.
Okay.
Remember my grandmother take me to Woolworths, and I had enough money at 99 cents. I would buy you a 45.
Yep.
So I bought that one. And then it was probably Gloria by Laura Branigan, but the album was Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Great record.
Beautiful record. I just bought it on vinyl. It still sounds incredible.
That was produced by Quincy Jones.
It was.
That's a great choice.
How many members of Toto played on that?
Sorry?
How many members of Toto played on that record?
Could not tell you. Can you tell me?
A lot. At least 2 per Caros.
Aren't there like 15 people in Toto, though?
What's that?
Are there like 15 people in Toto, though?
Yeah, I think there's 4 versions touring. I don't know. No. There's a lot of people. But anyway, great record. Beautiful record.
Absolutely. A great choice. Okay, what is your... This is a hard one. I would have a hard time with this one. What is your favorite lyric of all time?
My favorite lyric of all time.
That's a tough one.
All I want from living is just to be left alone.
What is
all
that
I
from?
need is an open road because I'm a Rolling Stone.
I'm assuming the Rolling Stone.
All I need is a rock and roll band and somewhere new to play because I'm on my way. I'm a rock and roll outlaw. Rose tattoo. Sorry, you needed the full lyric.
Okay, I was like, he's still going.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
man.
like, he's still going.
Yeah, get me going on rock and roll. There ain't no stopping.
So I feel like that just kind of really solidifies in the minds of the audience, like, you're like a rock and roll guy.
Fully.
Absolutely.
Rock and roll is my religion
in your soul,
and my law,
in the
as
soles
Ozzy
of your
Osbourne
shoes.
said. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Fabulous. Okay. Well, that was an amazing lyric. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Okay, okay. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only bring 2 albums/records, what would you bring?
Yeah, man. Interesting. Because like there's I could say something like Physical Graffiti and the White Album because they're all encompassing rock and roll brilliance, right?
Sure.
But the truth is, that wouldn't probably reflect my whole listening experience. It'd probably be something like Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Toss up between maybe 1984 by Van Halen.
Cool.
Yeah, that would probably be closer, and a close third would be something by a band called Enough's Enough. Very, kind of a lesser known rock
slightly
band,
obscure, yeah. Okay.
But incredible because they embrace amazing qualities of the Beatles, Cheap Trick, Van Halen, and they kind of package it. So I think I'd be looking probably for something like that kind of sums up those, my formative listening experiences of my youth.
So would you say, just a quick follow-up question to that, would you say that like those records reflect your guitar style?
Yeah, I think especially in the case of the Guns N' Roses
so
and
like
the Van
Slash
Halen,
is he like one of your heroes type thing?
He was a big influence for sure.
Yeah,
it's funny. And Eddie Van Halen is my number one all-time favorite. Randy Rhoads. But also, I've really come to realize that it's kind of the second iteration of those players. I mean, Slash being one of those second iterations.
Yeah.
I love Van Halen. I love Randy Rhoads. I could talk about guitar players all day.
Absolutely.
But my fingers, as much as I loved playing in that 80s style, and I've got a little bit of that in there, my fingers do more of a 70s thing. So I'm really more Ace Frehley, Jimmy Page. But for Trapper, it's funny, lately I've been referencing players like Jake E. Lee or Ronnie Latecro from TNT, where there's a technicality there, but it's really more about the attitude and the attack, the purity of the tone. We have these kind of in-depth conversations about the playing side. But, for me, Eddie Van Halen, as much as there's the technical brilliance, there's the musicality, I can hear the smiles when that guy played. If you ever watch that guy, he was smiling all the time when he played. He was constantly in a state of bliss and a state of exploration when he was playing. And that's what I'm trying to go for, where you actually remove the barriers of your own insecurity and worrying about scales or modes or notes.
Right.
He didn't think that way. It was this reactive, intuitive thing. So, yeah. And Slash was huge because Slash came along when there were people doing this iteration of Eddie's style that was refined, but it lacked the fun, it lacked the joy and the depth.
Yeah.
It turned into pastiche. And then you got a guy like Slash who's playing Joe Perry and Jimmy Page licks. So raw, such a pure tone, brought back the Les Paul. So Slash, and so beautifully melodic. Like, I mean, listen to some of the stuff he plays, like Sweet Child of Mine or November. He's playing chord tones, he's playing changes, like he's a guitar player of great depth.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh, sorry. One other point. I gotta say it.
Yeah.
The other side about that Guns N' Roses record, it's based on my whole production perspective. When I'm producing records, like that 2-guitar concept, I love that. Where
What
you
do
have
you mean by that?
two unique identities coming at you in this stereo spectrum.
Yep.
Alice Cooper was great at it. Kiss was great at it. Aerosmith was great at it. Where you're hearing the two things and they're playing off each other.
Too unique. So like not two separately played identical tracks.
Yeah, like rather
like
than
two separate ones that have their own kind of little riffs and little
nuances where they're banging off each other. The Stones, the Rolling Stones called it the magic art of basket weaving. And I think that's a great way, or the ancient art of basket weaving.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, right? Where you're listening and you're reacting. So I absolutely love that. And even when I'm the only guitar player in a band and I'm recording, I still try to implement that.
All right, cool. I think you possibly already touched on this, but who is your biggest musical influence?
It's got to be Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
It has to be Eddie Van Halen. I'm trying to think.
His tapping is just out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about Eddie is I think he coined it. He said it's the falling down the stairs and landing on your feet. It's the ambition that comes about from joyous exploration. He's joyous, and so when you hear him, he's chasing something. He's searching for something, and it's the reckless abandon. But there's also obviously a melodic ear and a musical heart connected to all that. Yeah, I mean, Eddie's huge for me. Just the whole concept, the joy. It always comes back to the joy and the smiles for me with Eddie. So anyway, yeah, if I had to pick one, It's almost impossible though, because I mean,
just so many.
There's Jimi Hendrix, there's Jimmy Page. I mean, you know, there's Ace Frehley, there's Paul McCartney, there's Mark Bolan from T-Rex, Ian Hunter from Mott the Hoople. I mean,
so Paul McCartney is one of your biggest musical influences.
He's everybody.
Absolutely.
If you're a pop musician, you can't help but be influenced by that.
I think I read an article. It was on writing a bio, and it said, "Don't list the Beatles as like an influence of yours, because it's basically referencing like the alphabet. It's it's like
I like letters. Yeah,
exactly.
That's a great point. And if you're going to, you better be able to back it up. Like, I mean, because
sure,
like for example, a band like Crowded House, I could make an argument. It's like, yeah, you can put your influence by the Beatles. I hear that. There's a depth of understanding that I hear in Neil Finn's voice, where he's listened and dissected.
Yeah, and also like when you say the Beatles too, it's like they're so vast.
Well, yeah,
a different, like you go from like I Want to Hold Your Hand to like Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah,
you know, like there's so vast a spectrum there.
Yeah, totally.
It's really hard to, but anyway.
Totally.
Okay, so basically Eddie Van Halen is what you're.
We'll go with Eddie. We'll go with Eddie
for today.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. What? Oh, I'm really interested to hear this. What was your first paying music gig?
My first paying music gig was playing guitar at the Pro Cathedral of the Assumption Parish.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a church musician.
Yeah.
And in fact, I double dipped at that church because I also worked in the cemetery.
Oh, really?
So I would play guitar at the funeral, go change, and go dig the grave.
Really?
Yeah, it was all
you
church
would dig the grave, not just
we had a backhoe.
Okay.
But I was in there packing it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Was that a hard job?
It was a great job. I mean, most of the time, listen, people aren't dying at, every 5 seconds, right? So the rest of the time, you're cutting the grass or you're.
Yeah.
But it was it was a cool gig because it gave me this new perspective on life and impermanence of it all. Like, these are heady concepts for a guy who's listening to Motley Crue or Whitesnake, you know what I mean? But also having this kind of situation where you're dealing with that. So I love that. And also being a church musician was incredible chops builder.
Yep.
And time. It's like, oh man, I got to play, but there's a pipe organ blasting. I'm listening to the singer at the front of the church bouncing through the monitors.
Exactly. And there's so much
and I got to find time.
So
all of a sudden, it's not about a strict adherence to a metronome. It's like feeling where to find your space in this thing. So the consideration, that really helped me when I was playing in big rooms, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And having to read and having to do all those things and be prepared and show up, professionalism.
Well, especially with like arena rock.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're playing in arenas and like the reflections in that space.
Oh, yeah, you better believe
like
it.
the reverb, the natural delay in that space is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, so are you playing with in-ears when you're doing like
I didn't start when I was the first time I played with in-ears was when I started playing with Nelly Furtado, and I had a very hard time with it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I liked having I'd much prefer having crank monitors. I don't hear very well.
Yeah.
I've lost quite a bit.
That's what happens, yeah.
But and I'm not saying like a badge of honor. That's just a fact. But I like to feel it, and I like those monitors crank and rip my head off at the front. But yeah, it was the first few times. I remember the first few times playing arenas was when my band Crash Kelly was out with Alice Cooper, and that was a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
It's like, ooh. But it's funny when I started playing with Nelly. At first I couldn't. Usually if I needed more drums, I go towards the drummer, but everything was static. And my very first gig with her was 160,000 people in Mexico City.
Wow.
And we're playing a festival.
Yeah.
And I've got the wrong mix.
Oh,
so I'm just getting used to this. I
don't
know who's mixed. Maybe the other band. I don't know what happened. Wrong mix.
Okay.
I hear nothing.
Oh, no.
It's just blaring background vocal, maybe percussion, nothing. And I go to take my ear out, and of course, it's bouncing around the town, city plaza, downtown.
Absolutely.
Ciudad de Mexico, right? And anyway, I got through it because we had prepared a lot.
Yeah.
And I kind of just knew my parts.
Yeah. Okay, what in particular for you hypes you up for a live performance?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm pretty hyped up. Like, I mean, I love the ritual of the whole thing. I'm one of those guys. Some people laugh at me. I like having the guitar tech. I like having all that because I like to go out there. The first time I hit it, I want the lights down. I'm going for that thing where the first time we're seeing each other is when the lights go up.
Right.
And there's a feeling that you get when you hear the lights go down and that roar comes up. I'm chasing that. That's something I chase actively, that feeling, in whatever I do, because there's nothing like it. Yeah, man. And really what it is, it's the camaraderie of being with the people you're going to go do this cool thing. I was watching an Aerosmith concert, and Joe Perry said, okay, let's go. Time to go see the Elephant. I thought that was the best way to describe getting ready to go to we're going to go see the Elephant. We're going to go see this crazy big thing.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go together. And we go, and I love that. And it's that feeling. I think getting together with the band, getting melded, doing the mind meld, and then going out to do this pretty crazy thing, which, in the big circle of life probably isn't that significant, but in that moment, you're probably the loudest thing in that town.
Yeah.
I love that feeling. I often think of that. It's like, hey, man, maybe right now my guitar is the loudest thing in Los Angeles or Tokyo or wherever we're playing,
That is amazing.
And I think that's because it took me so long to get a chance to do those types of things. My career was remarkably unsuccessful for most of my young music career.
Persistence pays off, right?
Hey, man, I guess so. But anyway, I try to soak in as many of those moments as I can, and that's it.
So I guess just like a follow-up quick question to that is, do you get nervous anymore? And if you get nervous, like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I do. I do get nervous. I'm getting less nervous now as I tend to put more value. I think I felt pressure before, especially when it was really the primary kind of source of income, or it's like, oh man, I gotta nail this. People are counting on me to nail this. I'm getting paid a good living to go do this. It's got to be perfect. Like TV shows and things like that, where it used to be delicate parts, and you're worried. Now I'm much less worried about that. But yeah, with nerves, listen, preparation.
Yeah,
you just have to believe. I remember once I got a bad case. We were doing the Billboard Awards in Vegas, and there's a lot of things. There are people walking by on stilts, or moving things, or pyro, all these things. And I said, no, I know this. I know this music, and I have to go do this for my family. This is what I do. So that perspective, I try and put it in perspective, and I just, get a guitar, warm up my fingers. Yeah. But yeah, there's been a couple of times, man, where, it can be a little scary. Yeah. And it's not always a big arena show. Sometimes it's playing in front of 3 people on a radio thing or something. All of a sudden you get spooked. But, at the end of the day, there's not too many people out there waiting for you to fail. They want to enjoy your art. We had, actually with Nelly, last guy who was the music director, Adam Pickrell, he said something cool. He said, hey, let's go make people happy with our art. Yeah. That's what he used to say before we go on stage. I thought that was a beautiful thing.
And I always think, as a performer myself, I think there's a certain threshold that musicians understand of their playing. But then there's a certain threshold where kind of the average listener, which is, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but it's lower. Like we understand when we make a mistake, but they may not notice it. You know
what? I totally understand what you're saying. I think I'd look at it like this. It might be higher on an emotional plane because they're just looking for emotional response.
Sure.
They're not judging the success of a performance by a technical criteria. They just want to feel something. And so many times I've said, oh, crap, I didn't play really well. You got someone coming up and telling you, that was amazing. That was so beautiful. We played. You have to honor that.
You do.
Yeah, you have to honor that. You did something that connected. So that's the truth, not your judgment of yourself for your technical failings, right?
Yeah.
But I take what, we hold ourselves to a high standard because, we're constantly analyzing this, right? To get to the point where you can communicate emotionally.
Absolutely.
So it's a give or take thing.
No, I will definitely consider that perspective. So we're coming up on the last set of questions here. Okay. So what 3 pop culture icons, living or dead, would you like to party with?
Pop culture icons would I like to party with? Mark Bolan from T-Rex, Mick Mars from Motley Crue. Yeah, Muhammad Ali.
Okay. Yeah, a lot to learn from all three of them, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's just an interesting cat to me. I played once in the Philippines, in Manila.
Yeah.
And we played the arena where they had the Rumble in the Jungle. Ali Frazier, right?
If your life was a song, what would it be called?
Well, if your life was a song, Cowboy Song by Thin Lizzy.
Really?
That's a song that's going to play at my funeral.
Cowboy Song. Okay. I'm not super familiar with that one. Boys Are Back in Town, definitely.
Yeah.
But
I'm a Thin Lizzy fanatic.
Yeah.
Phil, I actually take it back. I want to party with Phil Lynott. Love you, Muhammad Ali, but I'm taking it. You're out. Lynnett's in.
I feel like he wouldn't necessarily party like the rest of you. You know, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, poor Phil. He partied a little too hard. God rest his soul. He left us at 36, but
yeah.
But yeah, you know, like I like the Cowboy Song just emotionally. What I loved about that song was it's written from the perspective of a black Irishman.
Sure.
First of all, being the only black guy in Dublin.
That's interesting. Yeah.
You're a rock and roller, so you're already separated from most people just by virtue of those two things. But yet he went on to embody Irish life to the fullest, and he. You know, that song is really a romanticizing of what he thought America was like.
Oh.
And so many Irish people have done that in the past, right? And European, like, you know, imagining the freedom of being on the open range, you know?
Yeah.
And that song, I'm Just a Cowboy, Lonesome on the Trail, you know? He was singing about being wild at heart, free of spirit, and that's something that rock and roll gave me. It gave me a chance to experience a freedom I probably wouldn't have known otherwise. So to me, you know, and it gave me a chance to see the best and the worst part of life and the best and the worst part of myself. And that's a gift. You know, I haven't always walked a straight path, but I stayed on the path. Even when I veered off, I got back on.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that I got a chance to see that and see the humanity, even, you know, people who seem like the rogues, sometimes they're the ones with the hearts of gold, right? And Phil kind of represents that to me, and I think that's the human condition. That's a heady answer, I know, but it's true.
that got real for a second. I love that.
That's what it should be.
Exactly. No.
The older you get, the less you want to go any other way.
Yeah, the less you put up with the BS,
yeah, it's
right?
True, it's true.
Okay, so if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
There's so many out there.
Yeah.
And, like, you could make up one, too. You don't have to take an existing one.
Honestly, I think, man, this is going to sound so pandering, but I think about this. The greatest gift you can have is feeling secure and safe.
Yeah.
Because when you feel secure and safe, you can actually go out and you have a freedom to explore who you really are. So I would like the superpower to make everybody feel secure and safe enough to take the risks to find out who they really are.
So you want to make other people feel secure and safe. Like, okay.
Yeah, because I've been blessed with the security of amazing parents and amazing friends and amazing opportunities.
Sure.
I've been blessed with that. I haven't had too many, any knocks in my life have come from this guy.
Yeah.
I made my own knocks. There wasn't anything standing in my way. And I'd like to remove the barriers for other people.
Yeah.
And that's something we see more and more of, right? Or I'm becoming more and more aware of how much great stuff could happen if we remove barriers for everybody. Yeah. How much better would this world be? And
Absolutely.
I know that probably sounds a little trite, but I think that that's something I would love to do. Because
that's
I think,
beautiful.
And you know what, man? It's selfish. I think my world would be better for it. If everyone was like, we'd all be better.
I don't think that's... I think mine is selfish. Mine, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Mine would be having the ability to operate on an optimum level without any sleep.
Yeah.
Just zero, like not have to sleep at all, you know?
That's great. You don't want to miss anything, right?
Exactly. Just like work and like play all the time.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Let's let's hear your best dad joke.
Oh my God, I'm trying to think of one.
Because like you have children, so like you're literally a dad.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
let's hear your best dad joke. This better be good.
Want to hear a dirty joke?
Sure. Is that a dad joke or?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 white horses fell in the mud.
Oh my God.
Classic.
My grandfather told me.
Yeah,
that
you still fell for it. Gotcha, Sonny.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I was like waiting. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Is this
man,
gonna
it's
be?
all in the delivery. It's like my dad always said to me, God rest your soul, Dad.
Yeah.
I already told you more than I know.
Okay.
Think about what I just said. I already told you more than I know. He was bullshitting.
Oh, geez.
I love it. It's classic.
Gosh.
Like, I mean,
I'm gonna
but the
use
way he
that.
said it, he would always be like, what do you mean? Oh, right. Classic,
So
man.
don't trust everything you say.
What's that?
So basically you're saying don't trust everything
Yeah,
you say.
I mean, yeah, I think that's probably safe.
Yeah. Okay, so we're
malarkey,
going to play a
never
little bit
rain.
of this or that.
Okay.
And we'll just do it quick. All right. And you'll have like 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? Leather or lace?
Leather.
Vintage or new?
Vintage.
Window or aisle seat?
Aisle.
Acoustic or electric?
Electric.
Handwritten or typed?
Handwritten.
Playlist or album?
Album.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. Is it bad that I like
You knew
correctly assumed 90%?
Yeah, you can't go wrong. You probably thought window, but I like the aisle because I like to stretch my legs.
Yeah, that was the only one that I was
When you
off.
fly enough, trust me, you want that aisle.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you.
I want escape from and access to the washroom too.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a good place to be.
Yep.
If you were given a free plane ticket to go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Japan.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Why is that?
Because I only got the chance to go to Tokyo once. I got to go to Japan once, and that was an aspirational place. I always had fantasies about making music and putting out records and touring in Japan and performing.
Really?
Cheap Trick live at Budokan. That live album is essential for me. Fortunately, with my band Crash Kelly, while we didn't get a chance to go over, we actually put out 3 albums over there. So
Yeah.
I do have my albums with the Obi strip all in Japanese.
That is
with the bonus track.
awesome.
So that was and I got in Burn magazine but when we got a chance to play in Tokyo at the Summer Sonic Festival with Nelly, I savored every moment. I pulled out every Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick move I could think of with that guitar.
And they love rock over there. Like, and you know what?
Yeah.
I was born in Japan. Like, I lived
No
there.
way!
I lived there for 8 years.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I lived there for 8 years, and recently, like within the last 3 years or so, I saw the Anvil documentary.
Oh,
Have you
yeah,
seen it?
yeah.
Where they went to Japan,
Yeah,
like went
man.
back to Japan.
That's right.
And they love that stuff. They love it.
They do. It's funny, in Japan, audiences are so particular. Because I remember talking to the record label over there, I was like, hey man, like the records are doing well on number 3. Like, they
Let's
said,
go on tour.
No, it doesn't make sense. You will never sell more than this amount of records, but we know because we know exactly who buys your records. It's for this particular audience.
Right.
So they're so particular about what they enjoy. There wouldn't be a crossover element. There was no chance to go any bigger.
Right.
And
So
I
was
thought that was interesting.
Was that through Sony or like
It
what?
was through the label was Spiritual Beast, but they were a Universal affiliate.
Cool.
Universal Music.
Wow, and that was Crash Kelly.
Crash Kelly, yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, it was fun, man. It was. We were signed to Century Media, which is an American label, but they licensed the record over there. So,
Well, I mean, if I plan to go back to Japan and become, like a game show host over there.
Oh, yeah.
So like I'll bring you along with me.
please, I'm there. I'm there.
Okay, what is your favorite place that you've ever performed?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Because there's been some magic ones. There was the Ryman in Nashville. That was very heavy.
Damn.
That was very heavy for me. Tokyo was amazing. You know what? In terms of like sheer energy, maybe South America, Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I got a chance to see it from 2 perspectives. I went once with Nelly. We did a South American tour, and then a couple months later, I went back with Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses and did a tour. We were playing arenas with Nelly, but because Guns N' Roses has such a fanatical following, and Gilby's solo stuff was so well received, in South America. We were playing, like 1,500 seaters, but they were singing every riff. Like it was pulsing with energy.
Every riff.
The guitar riff.
They were singing.
Yeah, they sing the riff back to you.
What?
Yeah, and there's the chants, the ole, ole, ole. Like it was just heavy. So, I don't know, man. I've had a chance to play, I love playing in LA. I love the energy in New York. Every place has its own thing. But, there's been magic places like Pikeville, Kentucky. Who would have thought they'd have a hockey arena in the middle of this, town where the Hatfields and McCoys fought? But, yeah, there's a hockey arena, and it turned out to be one of the great gigs of my life. Billings, Montana had a great gig.
So, in essence, you can't pick one.
I can't pick one place, man.
It's hard.
Everything, Germany, England,
You've been everywhere.
Montreal Jazz. I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
Been very fortunate. And I know that sounds boastful, but it's more just reflecting on, how great and how lucky I am to have had that experience to see so much.
Well, and you have to be at a certain level of expertise on your instrument and proficiency to be able to do things like that. So it's not just luck. It's like you made it happen.
Yeah, but you can't swing a cat without hitting a guitar player, right? And I know that. So, really,
I've never heard that before.
It's not so much about that. I think I always tell people, you know what? Be able to travel, be able to get on a bus and not drive everybody nuts. Be kind, be friendly, show up on time.
Yep.
Respect people. Like those are the things. You got to be able to play a bit for sure. For sure, you got to be able to play. Clearly,
of course, yeah.
But
it's like given.
Listen, man, I've seen great players. I'm not at that level, right? But I think by exercising some of those other things, good lessons I learned in kindergarten, where you learn most of the good lessons you're supposed to do in life.
Yeah,
man.
Oh, sweet. What is the best concert you've ever been to?
That's a good one. I've seen some great ones in my day, I'll tell you. But the one that was magic, there's two. I'm going to give you two, okay?
Okay.
1985, Helix and Honeymoon Suite,
Oh.
North Bay Memorial Gardens. That's where I believed I could do that.
Right.
The miracle is I actually got a chance to play with both those bands.
Yeah.
I got to play.
Yeah, I read that.
I got to sub in with Honeymoon Suite. I got to write a record with them, work with those guys.
Yeah.
I got to be a member of Helix.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. That's how that worked out, because that show was so formative. But probably the big one, 1986, August 18th, Van Halen, 5150 tour, CNE Stadium, special guests, Loverboy and Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Oh my god!
And my brother-in-law, God bless him, my brother-in-law Jim, he said, "Hey, do you want to go in this fishing tournament?" And I said, he was going to take me on a fishing tournament in Lake Ontario. He was always, he was trying to get me to be an outdoorsman, right?
Sure.
I think, anyway. But he agreed to take me to that concert. And that was to be in the same, the same room with 43,000 other people.
Yeah.
But this
That's
full
intense.
moon, Eddie Van Halen, I swore he was staring at me all night. Eddie sees me. Incredible, man. So that's the magic one. That was a magic.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Loverboy, BTO.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Van Halen.
Yeah. And BTO. It's funny, actually, a couple of the guys
BTO.
in the Lee Aaron band I play with worked with BTO. They did. I think they joined right after that gig or something like that, because I was wondering, were you there? Were you playing with them? But anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a great combination.
Yeah.
We're going to get heady here again.
Okay.
What does rock mean to you?
Oh,
that's a big one.
Yeah, but you know what? Friendship and freedom.
Friendship and freedom.
Rock is friendship and freedom.
Would you say that youthfulness fits in there somewhere?
I think when we kind of fetishize youth, what we're fetishizing is this energy and I think that's inherent freedom. And
freedom.
Youth,
Well, yeah, freedom assumes that you are healthy and able enough.
Yeah, you're able to do. There's no impediment
anything.
to doing what you want to do,
obstacles,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and rock and roll allows you to feel like that.
Limitless.
You feel limitless when you're listening to music, when you're at a concert. You're not weighed down by the worries of the world. You're connecting with the music. You're connecting with the passion of the performers. There's this beautiful exchange of energy. Yeah, youth, definitely a part of it. Rock and roll lives and breathes in the hearts of the young. Triumph. Follow your heart. Thunder 7, great record.
All right, so Sean, what does creativity mean to you?
Creativity means repurposing. I was just talking about this with a friend of mine, Dave Reimer. And really, if you're creative, what you're doing is taking what already exists and reimagining it. That's it. It's not about invention. Like, I mean, there's nothing, we're pushing around the same 12 notes, right? In music.
That's the thing. It's all intertextuality, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah.
Basically, right? I mean, and the thing is, like, I mean, we don't live in the Middle East. We don't use, like Arabic classical music, the quarter tones or anything.
Well, you kind of do when you're playing heavy metal guitar. It's funny because you
do. Okay.
Because when you're playing, right, like the little nuances and inflections when you're bending. If you listen, it's funny. I reference a guy named Ronnie Latecro.
Sure.
He'll do that when he's playing. He actually has guitars built. I don't know if it's Ronnie or one of those guys has guitars built with like micro frets so they can get in there and play some of that stuff. But really, it's in the bending. Like there's all this harmonic information that's happening in the bending. But yeah, to your point, you're right. Structurally, we don't.
Yeah, and that's why I think. I mean, not to veer off, but I mean, like that's why I think that. I know that copyright infringement, like the whole copyright thing, is meant to protect artists, right, and their creativity and like allow them to exploit what they create. But at the same time, it's like, you have cases like blurred lines versus
nonsense.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right?
I actually have stronger thoughts on this now, having been a teacher, and I'll tell you why. One of the things we did, we weren't, because of COVID, I wasn't allowed to do concert band. Couldn't play instruments, so what are we going to do? We did, with my grade 8s, we did an in-depth study of hip-hop music.
Wow.
Mind-blowing, because to go into the history of that music and see what they were able to create with found sounds.
Yep.
Because they didn't have access. They didn't have societal access to the same things that other musicians had access to.
Sure.
And to see the creation that came out with 2 turntables and a microphone.
Right.
Where the inspiration comes from DJs toasting in Jamaica. The rhythmic interplay, finding the break, finding the best part. All these choices, these are all choices that artists make, right, when you're making music. So that opened my mind. And then we did a little project about sampling and going back and listening to great pop music, seeing how much is sampled. But then going back and listening to the music I grew up with and see how much of that was sampled. You take something like Eric Carmen, All By Myself. He's born from Rachmaninoff. He's taking melodies from Rachmaninoff piano concertos verbatim. I was like, wait a second, there is literally nothing new under the sun. There was at some point. I think that's why the Beatles, they stumbled on something new a couple of times in terms of format and experimentation. They kind of got out there and, they might have done some things that were brand new.
I think maybe
Jimi Hendrix did some things that were brand new. Anyway, sorry. Go.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I mean, I think really the only thing, like, because I think especially now, it always has been, but you have to be a brand. Like as a music artist or like a band, you have to be a brand.
If you're going to take it to market, you do.
Yeah, and as a brand, you have to have something unique to offer, right?
Yeah, right.
And so, like, what is it about, if we're just repurposing and borrowing, what is it that's unique about you that makes for a unique appeal, right? And I think, like, a lot of that has to do with, like, your voice and, like, timbre and stuff. Because everyone has a different
That's a great point.
Voice,
yeah.
Right? Anyway, I digress.
Your voice, Dutch, it actually leads back to the first question, or one of the first questions you asked me. What's unique about Trapper? And I think really it goes back to that reimagining of a time and place in a new context. Like as banal as that sounds, that's what it is. It's the reimagining of that feeling in a modern context, and I think probably the reimagining of its worth. It's not throwaway music. It's not pastiche music. It's music of real artistic value and substance.
Yeah,
I wish old Sean would have thought of that.
Okay, so what is the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
Yeah, okay. Look as good as you can.
Really?
Be nice. Don't suck.
Who gave you that advice?
It was my buddy Tim Welch, who is a master musician, guitarist for National Velvet and Del Bello, and composer, Degrassi, and incredible musician. We play together in Rough Trade. He's a big mentor for me and one of my best friends. he kind of gave me those, because we were talking about, he started getting me in on jingles and doing commercials and playing and doing TV gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He started bringing me in, and I watched him, and simple things, right? But don't suck. Like, gotta have your shit together.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Look as good as you can. You want to present yourself.
I mean, you look presentable.
And be nice.
Yeah. No.
Makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
So you put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
But it was just the way that was summarized. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah, and it's a very neatly 1, 2, 3, like a
and
triangle.
if you can't do one of those things, there's got to be something else that's way in, some people, they're brilliant musicians. They just can't be nice. They're naturally sour. Okay, but man, they play so great. I don't care.
Who cares? Yeah,
I've had that. There's very few people that play that well that matters to me. But there's been a few people where it's like, no, I can take your attitude. You're absolutely making this music shine. Yeah,
cool. What are 3 things you can't live without?
My family, my friends, my guitar.
I thought you were gonna say guitars. I thought you were gonna say, but that makes sense. Family, friends, guitars.
Yeah.
Sounds like a life to me.
Yeah.
What is one goal you're determined to achieve in your lifetime? And well, let's say you haven't achieved it yet.
Yeah.
One that you haven't achieved yet.
The one I'll try to be as good a father to my kids as my dad was to me.
Oh.
That's what I'll try and do. I don't think I'm going to get there, but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
No.
You think you're on your way there though?
Well, I did best I can.
Yeah. That's all you can do.
Yeah. It's a tall order, pal.
Absolutely. And what keeps you grounded?
What keeps me grounded? Good friends will keep you grounded.
Sure.
My wife keeps me grounded. There's zero bullshit.
Yeah.
I can't. And trust me, I'm inclined to try and move a little bullshit around once in a while.
Sure.
But that gets cut pretty quick, and I appreciate it. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm humbled by the talents of other people, the people who've come before me, the people I see. I'm just one perspective on the life of a musician. There's so many out there, right? Nothing I'm doing is proprietary or particularly earth-shattering, but
Sure.
I feel blessed that people get a chance to listen to it. It's pretty easy to be grounded when you see all the great artists out there and the great artists I get a chance to work with. People like M, Frank, and Tim. There you go. Cool.
And I guess just a quick follow-up question to that. Would you say that with the pandemic, you say because you said your friends, you've mentioned your friends a few times as being a prominent part of your life and that you really appreciate having them around and they keep you grounded. So do you think with the pandemic and obviously not being able to interact with people in person as much, has that really kind of been hard for you?
It's been hard for me. I've been lucky because the ability to interact musically has been there because of the technology we have. Sure. We all have home studios. And there's that feeling that transcends space and time and being able to be in a room together. The various artists I've worked with, that's kept us close and connected.
Sure.
Even when it's across the country sometimes, that's been wonderful. Because I'm a teacher, I was in-person teaching, so I had that. The toughest thing has been watching the effect on my kids when they had to do the distance learning, they couldn't be around it, and then realizing how important that is. I mean, it's been tough, but I've been lucky. I've been so lucky compared to some people because I haven't been alone. I've got my family here, and connected with my friends through music in this meaningful way.
Great.
It's been a lot tougher for other people.
Sure. And I guess, we're this is the last question here.
Okay.
What is one thing you're most looking forward to?
One thing I'm most looking
kind of an open-ended question.
You know what? Hey, listen. Getting back and playing live shows again.
Okay.
That's I think that goes without saying for any musician. Getting to the point where you got the string of dates in front of you, the anticipation, getting to do what we do. Because at the end of the day, Kim Mitchell, close companions in the concert bowl.
Yeah.
We open our hearts and we live this song. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
We're in Rockland Wonderland, baby. That's what it is. I want to get back to Rockland Wonderland.
Yes. And I guess just to bring it back to Trapper, I mean, you know, like, what is there anything that you guys have on the horizon that you guys are kind of working towards that you can look forward to in that context?
Absolutely. We got the new EP coming. We're writing. We're working on new songs. I can't wait to get back in the room because I think we've done an amazing job putting this new music together. I'm so proud of those singles that we've written. But man, when we get in the room and that we start firing on all cylinders together, feeling that collective energy we had, that was something that was so apparent when we did those Def Leppard dates. Like, I mean, I think our second ever show was at the Bell Center, right?
Jeez.
But we walked out there and it was there. It was the real thing. It was looking out and saying, this is a real rock and roll band. We can perform at this level. And that's a connection thing, right? So
it's a great feeling.
It's amazing. That chemistry is addictive, right? So we're really looking forward to getting out, playing live, putting together a great EP. We're almost there, making new music. But really, with Trapper, we always put friendship first.
Sure.
Friendship comes first. The rest follows out of friendship, out of love of music. And yeah, that's
you guys have kind of, in terms of like shows, you guys are thinking once things open up a little more, not just local, but maybe exploring some international opportunities as well.
For sure. Yeah. I was already talking to somebody in Europe who was interested in having us over.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
Like, there's a great market for 80s inspired rock in Europe, and there's no limits. But the beautiful thing about Trapper is there's no pressures or expectations either. It's a very organic thing.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what, man? I'm just having such a great time writing and creating and producing music with these beautiful people. So
honestly, yeah. Well, again, Sean, thank you so much for doing this interview with us.
Great interview. Thank you, Justin.
This has been Who is Trapper segment. And we're going to be hearing from the other members fairly soon.
Awesome.